I think I figured out the problem to the Eagles offense last year. Kevin Patullo is absolutely delusional, which we're going to get here to this to in a minute. I have a clip for you that I want to play from some things that Kevin Patullo said about his time in Philadelphia, which is absolutely wild. But first, I want to mention this because we all know all of the media hit pieces, all those anonymous sources, and one of the big things they love to harp on that they wanted to repeat over and over and get out there to get it in everybody's head, which we know came from most likely Nick Sirianni and or Kevin Patullo. This talk about how the coach's son, whom which someone who's never had a bad word said about him from coaches, Nick Saban is praised tremendously. Suddenly he's uncoachable, didn't want to change, isn't open to new things, and on and on and on. Well, Scott Loeffler recently talked about that. Remember Scott Loeffler? He was in Philadelphia for a year, worked closely with Jalen Hurts, said about his time in Philadelphia, shout out to the Philly fans, go Birds. I absolutely loved it, Loeffler said of his time in Philly. I love the people, really loved working with Jalen Hurts and the rest of the quarterbacks. We've got a great relationship still to this day, and I wish him nothing but the best. He's a super coachable championship type of guy, and being able to work with him for a year was awesome. He's a champion in every aspect of the word. He's hardworking, smart, and he's a great competitor. Wow. It's almost like the anonymous sources, if there actually were any, but I'm going to say they were Nick and Kevin, were lying to smear Jalen Hurts for their own failures and inadequacies. What do y'all think? Do you believe Loeffler, who, by the way, is not here, so more likely that he could bash a former employer? Or do you believe the anonymous sources that the media was running with? I mean, it seems like there's a lot more evidence out there supporting Loeffler's position when it comes to Jalen Hurts than Nick Sirianni's anonymous source nonsense and Kevin Patullo's. Now, take a listen to this. This is only about 37 seconds. I have to prepare myself. Kevin Patullo talking about his time in Philadelphia.
I think really just coming in with Nick in 2021 and really building that whole entire program from the ground up. You know, I was the first one there with him, made a lot of the hires. We set the organization in place as far as culture, what kind of players we wanted, what kind of offense we were going to develop around guys. So just being a part of something from basically ground zero until, 2 Super Bowls and we win one, that's a big piece of it. So being able to understand, and I wore different hats. I was assistant head coach, I was offensive coordinator. I was heavily involved in the offense every year. And just understanding what it takes to get to that high level
Wow.
and achieve
So
what everybody wants to achieve, I think is really going to be critical going forward.
That it was Kevin Patullo secretly behind the scenes who is the key to all success in Philadelphia for the past 5 seasons. It was, and yet somehow magically, when he actually gets a job where people know who he is and know what his responsibilities are, and you can truly see the impact on the field, he crashes and burns, and it's an absolute disaster. And they waste a Super Bowl roster for a season. They wasted a season of the Eagles' Super Bowl windows, and Super Bowl windows don't last long. We all know that in the NFL. Things change quickly. When it's your time to win and you are built to win, you have to take advantage of that and win. Or at the very least, you have to maximize your chances of winning. And instead, Nick Sirianni decided to hire his little buddy to be the offensive coordinator so he could run his failed offense. And we wasted a year of the Eagles' Super Bowl prime. And then this guy's going to sit here and talk about he's going to talk about how he's the one to give all the credit to for all the success for the past 5 years in Philadelphia. No wonder this guy wrecked us last year. He's a delusional narcissist. What? I'm still trying to process what I just heard from this guy. How can you be this disconnected from reality? This is absolutely wild, wild stuff. And of course, a lot of the fans weren't happy. I'm just going to read a few comments. One of the biggest, well, I won't even say that in sports history. ran a Super Bowl caliber offense like a JV team. Hell of a job, Kevin. Hell of a job. One question though. In your world, what color is the sky? My twin bro is a diehard Eagles fan, and from watching games, I know that play calling was some of the worst I've ever seen in my life. If any of this was true, he would have gotten a head coaching job this offseason. Instead, he got fired and was hired for a complete rebuild in Miami. He also chased off one of the best position coaches in football. Our talent kept us at the top of our crappy division, but we had little to no shot at a Super Bowl with this guy goof running the offense. That's exactly why nobody wanted him as OC. I will never forgive Sirianni for throwing away a slam dunk back to back Super Bowl season on this feckless idiot. Nick should have been canned too as soon as John Harbaugh was available to take his place. I'm not going to actually argue with that, my man. I am not going to argue with that. But I will say this in terms of what Kevin said. I can see based on the attitude that he has here. And by the way, this was after he was hired for Miami. So he had no, there was no real reason for him to be this delusional. It's not like this was a job interview, but I can see why it was last year was such a problem. What I don't understand and will never understand is why Nick Sirianni would hire him or why Nick Sirianni would still be here. But I will leave with this, and I'm curious what you think in the comments below. If I'm going to spin this in a positive, I will say this. And so, look, we have no idea, right? We have no idea truly what the offense is going to look like. All we can go is with what we're hearing, what we know of Sean in Green Bay, that it's most likely going to be a much better system for the Philadelphia Eagles. The play calling is going to be better, the plays are going to be better. And so, what I'm getting at is we wouldn't have that if Kevin Patullo wasn't so atrociously bad last year, right? If we didn't have that failure of a first round wild card loss with Kevin Patullo being so bad and all the friction with AJ Brown and on and on and on, we might still have him as our offensive coordinator. So I guess we can look at it as a positive in that way. Uh, by the way, the last thing I want to close with, because it just popped in my head, this uncoachable thing is, I think Kevin, as you heard, I don't think he had any idea what he was doing, and I don't think Jalen Hurts respected him because of that. I think Jalen Hurts, as a coach's son, probably wanted to know the why of things and would ask, why are we doing this? Why is this route being run here? And Kevin Patullo would not have a good answer. That is my guess onto this uncoachable stuff. That it's all on Kevin Patullo, and Jalen Hurts was just trying to be a great quarterback and know, absorb, and understand the offense. Peyton Manning, remember, Peyton Manning would talk about how Jalen Hurts calls him all the time to ask him questions, to pick his brain, to learn new things. So again, the resistance to change thing is absolute nonsense. Anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Do me a quick favor, like, comment, subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Fewer than 200 subscribers from 2,000. Absolutely amazing. I will talk to you later.